hello. My name is Jeff Martin. I'm here with Biotechne. Otherwise, I know them as R&D Systems, but you guys go by Biotechne now. So who am I talking to today?
Yeah, good to see you. My name is Miles Smith. I'm a product manager for our immune cell therapy portfolio at Biotechne, and I'm also here with
Milena, and I'm the business development manager for cell and gene therapy products.
Excellent. Now you're in Minneapolis. You're here in San Diego. I'm very jealous that San Diego is beautiful. Minneapolis, it's cold up there. I'm not very jealous of you.
Yes.
So what are you guys mainly focused on these days at Biotechne?
Yeah, one of our big kind of initiatives that we're doing in our kind of protein and growth factor and reagent business overall is trying to support cell therapy developers. So I'm really focused on the immune cell therapy side. So really focused on how do we deliver our core reagent portfolio that we've had for 50 years at this point now to developers in a way that's cost effective, that meets them where they're at, those unique challenges and needs that they have. But we also do that for the regenerative medicine space, which is a little bit up and coming as well. It has its own unique challenges.
Right. So what are the major types of reagents that are, the hardest to come by that you guys are focusing on?
Well, we have growth factors, proteins, cytokines, and we have small molecules as well. We produce GMP antibodies. The hardest thing for our job is to make sure that the quality standards are appropriate for cell manufacturing.
These days.
Right?
Yeah.
We have an internal regulatory team that supports not just the drug master files filing for every one of our products. At this moment, we have 38 GMP products and proteins, and then we have 24 drug master files. So we try to backlog everything that we have and continue filing based on market demand. But the regulatory team is amazing in supporting directly our customers. Sometimes, especially in the last couple of years, the FDA has changed the kind of information that they want to see for each one of these products. It changes between proteins and small molecules. So we have experts on both sides of the products to help our customers with that.
So educate, I'm a preclinical academic, like I buy my media, I buy my FGF, and I'm good to go, right? Educate me on like what exactly does it take to get a GMP like approved cytokine, for example.
So one of the things we like to do for folks who are going from a very early stage preclinical setting, what is their customer journey like? What is their ultimate goal, right? That's a commercialization of a therapy to help patients.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we're doing is looking at how we can have our manufacturing set to scale with these customers, how we can have consistency between what you're going to use in the lab in your academic setting, but when you get a fully GMP or even a closed system version, we have closed system products now, those are all going to be consistent. You're going to get what you need every time to have batch consistency. You're not going to have troubles with your raw material, your critical raw material reagents.
Right. So when you say closed system, you guys mean you're actually like manufacturing a cytokine or a growth factor in a closed system that then is then used in some GMP downstream process. That's what that means?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the things, people talk about closing the system, and that means a lot of different things, a lot of different steps. Processes are huge and robust and change depending on, if you're doing a CAR T to regenerative medicine therapy. So one of the things that we've heard from the market is like, wouldn't it be great if we could avoid aliquoting, we could avoid reconstitution, and that has direct impacts on, your clean room time, your labor, consistency in manufacturing. I mean, you avoid contamination risk, things like this. And we can also do it, meet the customer where they're at too. So fill the protein that they need and the amount they need.
So what is like the earliest phase that you think you should be thinking about these things? Because in my opinion, my big thing these days is that a lot of the problems we get in cell therapy is because of things you don't think about like really early on in the lab. Like again, I'm a scientist. I did not care where my IGF came from. I didn't care, right?
Absolutely.
So talk about what people should be thinking about at that stage and how you guys can kind of support them there.
That's the beauty about Biotechne, I believe. I'm a scientist myself. I've done a lot of stem cell GMP production. This was definitely a pain. I'm a consultant. I've seen firsthand how many professors wanted to spin out their therapy as a separate company, but then by the time they get to manufacturing, it's not working.
Mess. Yeah.
It's not working the same way. So that's exactly my role. We work with GMP facilities in academic setting as well as biotech and pharma from preclinical, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So depending on where they are at, my job is to consult them and suggest the protein that would fit their status best at that specific time, and make sure that they do have a path to GMP. Many providers, vendors of GMP proteins don't have the exact equivalent between the research grade and the GMP grade, and that creates a lot of problems. Many others just don't say what quality testing are they doing for the GMP, and there's not
it's
much
probably not a lot of
not transparent, and then they're going to have problems with the FDA, right? And we want to avoid that for sure.
So what is one of the biggest problems you see? Like, are there patterns that kind of emerge when it comes to the preclinical stuff? Like, people just don't do these two things, and if they only knew these two things, it would solve a lot of problems. Is there anything that happens there?
Well, it's funny you say that, because we're trying to support these incubators. For example, there's a collaboration with UCSD and the Gene Therapy Initiative. We're actually bringing our experts, our regulatory team, our QC team, QA team, to talk about what happens at the end, so that they're aware of that. What kind of identity testing should you be doing? So what kind of equipment you need, and that means what kind of assays you need to plan for, so that we can educate them and support them even outside of just selling them our products. We really want to be partners and not just a vendor.
Yeah, I guess an incubator would be a good space for you guys to live, because it's like right at the that like transition phase from academia into industry. So what is, again, educate a layman like me, what exactly is the difference, the major differences between a GMP grade and like a, I guess, academic grade or non-GMP grade, like, you know, materials?
A lot of it has to do, you know, being compliant with the regulations around that. You know, we're a 1345 facility, so what that means is we do verification lots, we do validation lots. We have to make sure that the material that we're sending someone is exactly what they need, and that also has to do with a lot more QC testing, right?
Yeah.
We do a lot more rigor. Someone who's in the academic lab is still going to get really good material. It's just now we're doing all the different steps they're going to need when we file a DMF for the FDA.
Right. So it's all those steps that like people, the academics, don't think about. It's kind of like the boring stuff. Like, I don't want to quality control my cytokines. I want to test my hypothesis, right?
Well, and customers, you know, when a cell therapy developer is going to audit their suppliers, right?
Yes.
So they can see, here are our batch records, here's everything we've done to this material. So you have the traceability about what you're putting into your process, right? You know, that can be scary. They're trusting that the material they're getting from us or any other vendors is going to be reliable and safe for the culture, right? And so that's where we really want to support them from a materials perspective, from our perspective, and from a regulatory support perspective.
Right. So you're kind of at the mercy of the FDA to a certain degree. You know, the standards are constantly changing. How do you guys stay up to date on that? Are you guys nimble enough to kind of shift with the regulatory winds, so to speak?
That's a very good point. I think another great aspect about Bio-Techne is the customization part of things, which includes an actual customer service dedicated to GMP clients. So for the GMP clients that we have, there's not just the business development manager that is usually in the field. We have another team, it's called the client services team, based in Minneapolis, that can check inventory, match their lot so that they always receive the same lot, understand the forecast, right? We have an open communication, so we make sure we have enough products for them. And that also ensures that when they're ready to file for IND, we have already an intake form for the letter of authorization, so we can send those information. If there is not a DMF for that specific protein, our regulatory team gets included in the conversation from the get-go.
And I think that's really critical. There's a partnering aspect here that the communication part is so important. You know, being transparent about your needs ahead of time, you know, where we can work together to solve problems. That's what we really want to do with these kind of support.
It reminds
we have these types of teams.
Even removing some of the burden from them.
Exactly.
A lot of people would have to inquire every time they receive a new lot for the COAs, the certificate of analysis, the certificate of origin, all the documentation that comes with it. We have a system where we have digital rooms set up for each of the clients. Every time we ship something, we will upload those documents so they are immediately available.
It reminds me of like doing your taxes almost. It's like, I don't really want to have to think about it, but I know that if I don't, I'll be dead in 6 months, basically. Right. So that's good. That's good that you guys have like that robust infrastructure there. So who is like your ideal customer? Is it you work with CDMOs? Is it like you work with the therapeutics developers themselves? Both? Who do you guys mainly work with? Both?
We
Both?
do our own R&D, and Miles can talk a little bit about
nice.
about that, because I think we have a very important aspect that can help the ones that are still in their own R&D stages with our designer proteins. But we also want to partner with the ones that are advancing in later stages. We have converted phase 3 companies because our system was so much cost efficient and time efficient that it would make sense to transfer and make that change even with the FDA. And so we are now in about 100,
a little over
100 clinical trials. So we've done this for a while. And so even for the ones that are in earlier stages, preclinical, don't have a lot of those information, we can help them. But we are pretty flexible. We are a lean team, and we can respond on time to all these requests that really help them. But I think it would be good to know about the design.
I think what's really interesting here is that you might be talking about one CDM, like a CDMO, or maybe a developer is better here. They're not the same company they are throughout the whole process. And kind of having problem-oriented thinking about what kind of problems that they're going to face along that path, and how can we meet those with solutions, because they're all going to be different solutions, right? We're going to have closed system solutions at the end there. We're going to have material they're going to use preclinical, but when they go to file that IND and switch GMP material, how are we making that simplified? Or if you're a really early developer, we're coming out with some novel protein engineering solutions to these. One is like a heat stable IL-2, right? You know, rather than redosing for certain workflows, we have to continuously add IL-2. But what if you didn't have to do that? What if you had something that was stable and you could batch process, right? And keep it there for even months, right?
So do companies come to you, or can you guys go out and say, hey, even if they're not interested, so to speak, or you know, you might not think you need us, but I can guarantee you probably do. You mentioned the R&D stuff. Is that kind of where you can come in and kind of optimize their processes like that? Can you speak to that? What is the role there?
We have a team of PhDs, even for business development. Each one of us has a specific expertise. We have stem cell and organoids experts with PhD. So we talk scientists to scientists. We've seen and felt the pain ourselves. And so I think that that's what really makes the difference. When we go out, we're not really selling the products. We are really consulting you on what might be best for you to save time. And if we don't have it, and that's the part that gets me excited, we have a voice of customer channel where we bring back to our product development what we think is going to be needed in the field, not today, maybe tomorrow, and we start working with them. We have a lot of collaborations with universities. We work with the major ones because we have scientists that talk to their scientists and try to find really what's needed next. And sometimes, I know that sounds weird because it might not be the most revenue-making thing for us. If you need to dose less IL-2, we're not selling a lot of IL-2. But we really want to be there for the innovation and for making manufacturing accessible and faster.
We want to solve problems. And if that means protein-based or like a format-based or something else, that's what we want to do, because we care a lot about this field. We've put a lot of time and effort into building out around this field, and we want to see it all the way through. Both cell and gene therapy, actually.
And it's, you know, I've seen a consistent through line in all the conversations today. One of the things that we've been talking about is the distinction between like the patients as the endpoint or the business as the endpoint. And you mentioned it might not be a good business model to recommend less of our products, but it's better for the patients ultimately.
Well, it's your customer's customer in a way, and you should care about that.
Exactly.
Because that's what they're ultimately trying to work towards.
Thank you so much, guys. That's awesome.